え
Through my time being a fan of RGG's famous crime series, be it likeadragon or Yakuza, whichever name you prefer, these video games have been a tremendous medium to express various depths of good guys, bad guys, weird guys, funny guys, and everything in between, and more. If there's one particular guy from these line of games I personally think represents the inherent kindness we all have, but can't bring ourselves to express sometimes in this rather cruel, unusual, and senseless digitized world, it's this guy, Kasuga Ichiban, the Itchy Balls Man, the hero of Yokohama, the dragon of rock bottom, the friend a lot of people could use, the simple hero with a bigger heart than most, a guy willing to extend a merciful hand to those that wronged him. Today at Mr. Takadrop Films, I'm gonna dive into Ichiban from a sort of different method. I'm gonna highlight some of my favorite key aspects of Ichiban that made me love this character for who he is, a rather chucklefuck with the heart of something better than gold. Just a good heart. Ichiban's a guy who not only helps people because it's the right thing to do, or that people should redeem themselves, rather it's that Ichiban sees the best that people can be, even if they can't see it themselves. Believe it or not, in these weird, polarized, digitized times we live in, we find it far too easy to see the worst in everybody. Hatred, disdain, the other. We take the terms foreign, alien, and simply different too literally. Ichiban, however, is a character that battled these sheer opposing labels to happiness in both his debut game and his sequel. One of my favorite things about Yakuza 7 and 8 respectively is not only the fun RPG gameplay that mixes that surreal combat with the genuine charisma of its heroic cast of characters, but the fact that they anchor these new villains to reality by having their sinister nature bound to issues we're dealing with arguably worse than before in recent times. I've made individual videos in the past on Ryo Aoki and Bryce Fairchild that you can check out after this if you haven't already, but in those I dive into what made it satisfying when Ichiban eventually overcomes them. Ryo Aoki and Bleach Japan represented this modern trend in any country honestly, where people are so hung up on making things pure, quote unquote, in their nation that they forget the people that are lumped into these so-called blemishes of society. They think they have to, cleanse everything in order to make it right, instead of embracing that life is meant to be balanced in light and darkness. You can't bleach balance. For Bryce Fairchild and his cult that misused the genuine people of Palakana, they took advantage of people's inherent nature to find community and twisted it into a power pyramid that fed on turning against your neighbor. And in doing so, he created a system that extended to controlling organizations in Honolulu, like the cartel, triad, and even law enforcement. Not to mention partnering with Bleach Japan 2.0 to force criminals to die by radiation poisoning, and building new nuclear waste storage facilities, something that is somewhat becoming true in real life with the US government needing to find more nuclear waste storage. Whether it's Ryo Aoki or Bryce Fairchild, they both show the immense power these cults of personalities can forge, and is why they feel more overwhelming than Kiryu's standard final bosses when it comes to overwhelming control. That's because Ichiban's whole thing is bonds, forging bonds of friendship with people down on their luck. And since Ichiban's been there most of his life, in that bottom pit of despair. But he's crawled out of it, and that's why he's the dragon of rock bottom. And his beautifully simplicity in seeing people for who they are, good, bad, complicated, and puzzled, is what makes him a hero with a bigger heart than most in my eyes. That's why I think Ichiban is a goddamn badass. He's simply heroic. Whether it's Yakuza 8 or Yakuza 7, what I adore and what makes me appreciate these individual stories is the little moments. the moments that Ichiban stops the story so he can focus on these people in need. It's why there's not a single person in his party that I dislike. Whether it's spending time completing the friendship links at the bar, or stopping in the open world to have a conversation with them, it's made me appreciate how well-rounded of a character Ichiban is. I mean, just spending the time to max out Ichiban's personality stats in both games is hella fun, and something I'm always looking forward to. And in the next Ichiban game, which is probably Yakuza 9, I can't wait to dive into his personality stat growth system again. It's just very fulfilling. All the people in his party are characters I grew to like, and each of them being flawed, with their own demons, regrets, pains that you can further discover for yourself outside the main story, is a clever way to incentivize exploration for the player. And as Ichiban, exploring these characters through his lens helped me take him in as a new hero of the franchise. Characters like Adachi, Namba, Saiko, Jungihan, Zao, Tomizawa, Shitose, and Iri were all cool characters that met Ichiban at points they needed a rock the most. And sure, across these games, characters like Namba, Tomizawa, and Shitose may have betrayed him in some form at some point, but it's usually due to them being wrapped up in these red tape conspiracies with their own personal matters, and the key thing here is that Ichiban stuck through it with them. He saw the ups, the downs, and all-around complications. And with his choice to have a bigger heart, he was able to reach them in ways the antagonists couldn't, which is why these characters joined Team Ichiban in the end. Themes like friendship, or songs like Ichiban Ka from Yakuza 7 practically sum up Ichiban to a T. He doesn't give up on himself, his community, or the people that wronged him. That also extends to Eiji, the guy that was a victim of Bleach Japan's prior toxicity and grew to despise the dark spots of society. And Eiji was a dude forced to believe that acting like Masato Arikara in order to manipulate Ichiban was a good idea. Even then, and after the betrayal and honestly difficult boss fight in Yakuza 8 that was quite literally dosed in poison, Ichiban travels all the way back to Japan just to help Eiji, who is now an injured victim of mob mentality, cancel culture, or whatever else you want to call it. The fact that Ichiban extended a hand out to help this guy after everything, going as far as to take all the damage from the mob as he walked him to the police station after talking through to him previously, shows that Ichiban has a bigger heart than most, because Ichiban never sees, quote-unquote, another, he just sees another friend in need. Now, does that mean you can forgive everybody in reality, or you should risk your life all the time? Well, not quite. Obviously, it depends on what you do for a living or your circumstances. However, the thing of stories that have stood the test of time as the reason we keep telling stories throughout human existence is just that you can take away the message and experience and apply it just a bit to your life. We connect with characters because they can do the things we believe we can't ever do in real life. Because in real life, you're not going to take down floors of enemies in a long battle like Ichiban or Kiryu. However, you can take away the grit and determination that they had. You can take that and apply it to something simple in your life. Like reaching out to someone, or putting your heart out in a way that is authentically you. And with that in mind, I think it's okay to get angry sometimes, to get frustrated. That was one lesson we saw Ichiban experience in Yakuza 7 as he met Kiryu. And that's because Ichiban, he can get angry too. He makes mistakes or the wrong decisions, and as you saw in my discussion today, my dear viewers, I still took away the best parts of his stories because that's the point. Ichiban is as layered as his personality you spend gameplay growing and maxing out. Ichiban is as layered as the conversations he has goofing around and shooting the shit with his party members. He's layered, like the rocks that keep us up on the ground. And that's because Ichiban is like the rocks that keep us up and going. He's the rock for people to rely on to vent to. He's the dragon of rock bottom for more than just the title. It's because he's seen the bottom of despair himself, and he knows we can all look up to the light if we tried. Sometimes that means reaching out to a hand waiting for you at the top. Thank you guys for watching. It means a lot and I value your support for my channel. If Ichiban is a character you also adore, then hey, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I would love if you also checked out my other video essays, be it Like a Dragon or any other franchise I love to discuss on this channel. Until next time, I've been Mr. Tagadrop Films, and you, my dear viewer, keep being a goddamn badass, and I'll see ya in the next one. Stay tuned.
Hey! Hello!